Hi friends, my name is Linda and this video is about twin flames and the excruciating but thrilling journey of twin flames. So yeah, if you clicked on this video, you're probably wondering whether you met your twin flame or you are healing from your twin flame, or you just like to follow me on YouTube and you want to see my story. So yeah, let's get into twin flames and the elusive unicorn. So if you go on the internet, you'll find a whole bunch of information regarding twin flames. Okay, so if you've done that, chances are you're probably searching for answers to see whether your person is your twin flame person, right? So what I've learned is that nobody experiences the exact same journey when it comes to twin flames. So you might have contradictory information out there, which will just lead to more confusion. So your heart knows, and once you reach a place of Satori, which we'll get into, then you just know inside, and you don't need the internet to prove to you whether your person is your twin flame or your person or whatever label you want to put on their twin soul, the one, whatever. But let's start with the twin flame journey. So before you meet your twin flame, you might come across the twin flame word, or somebody will say twin flame, and it's your first time hearing about this. And you don't really give it any weight because you can't connect or resonate with that, because up until this point, you've never met your twin flame. So you take it as a word that could mean soulmate, could mean, a person, your other half, like just another definition. That is referencing somebody that you get along with and you're a person. So you hear this word most likely right before you're about to meet your twin flame. And for some of you guys, you probably don't even know what a twin flame is when you meet your twin flame, which is even more crazy, because you end up finding out maybe within the first couple of weeks of meeting your twin flame, hearing that word. So the introductory to twin flame definition comes into play in the time frame either immediately preceding or around the time that you meet your twin flame. So that's one thing that happens. And I mean, you're still not connecting the dots here, okay? So when you meet your twin flame, now I can't explain the in-person twin flame because I've never met my twin flame in person. So I don't know what that is like, and I have no idea whether that is different from energetically connecting with your twin flame. So when you energetically connect with your twin flame, which I'm assuming is probably the exact same thing you would feel when you meet your twin flame in person, and if not, then just shoot me right now, because the energetic feeling you have when you meet your twin flame is just out of this world. So I can't imagine physically meeting your twin flame. But I think for a lot of people maybe who are not, in tune with energy so much, or see aura or feel energy the way, an energy reader can, or an empath can, right? Then maybe this is why that physical connection means more. But this is the feeling when you get introduced to your twin flame. It's like a feeling of you've always known this person, almost like you know yourself. So it is a very bizarre feeling, because what would happen if all of a sudden you're walking down the street and then you see yourself and you meet yourself, and that energy gives off the exact same vibe that you've been honing within yourself, right? So it's that feeling. So that's kind of trippy, but it's not like this overwhelming like chemistry where you're like completely blown away by your person's like appearance, where you're like just like, I don't know, like going through some sort of like shell shock, because I would assume that would be like, I don't know, maybe a soulmate person or somebody who you're just attracted to, a karmic or what have you. But your twin flame person is somebody who that energy is completely different. Like nobody you'll ever meet ever again is going to give you the feeling of you meeting yourself. And I'm not saying like this person is identical to you. It's just the feeling that you carry inside yourself, your heart, your being, your energy, like you know what it feels like, and maybe you forget, because if you're disconnected from it, you've been carrying it, but you're not made aware of it. So when you meet somebody who has this energy, it's like, this is why it's connecting you to home. This is why it's bringing you closer to yourself, because you recognize it as something that is very, very, very familiar, and it's right under your nose and has been under your nose for however many years, because it's your soul. Okay, so twin flame is one soul that is split up in two bodies. Okay, so I mean, however you break it down, you're attached to the same source as a one soul, and you split off as divine masculine, divine feminine, and then get reincarnated into two separate bodies. Okay, so this definitely, supports the feeling, because even if you didn't hear that as the twin flame definition or what it is, you would definitely sense a familiarity to self, especially when you start going through the journey. Then you do a full circle and then you conclude that that's definitely it. But when you first meet them, maybe you can't put your finger on it and what that feeling is. So it's not a feeling of, because when I read other people's experiences, which could definitely be their valid experience, it's like the world stopped and they were just like, they couldn't breathe, and they were just like in this like state of shock, and like everything around them kind of just stopped to exist, and this person was like glowing. I don't know, it just, to me it sounds like fairy tale, whatever, but I mean, I'm not poo-pooing on that experience, because I'm sure they experienced it, but I'm just putting it out there that if you don't experience that, doesn't mean it's not your twin flame. But the reason why it's like this feeling of the world stopping is because, like, imagine yourself walking down the street and you coming across a person who gives off the exact same energy that you've had for whatever 30, 40, 20 years of your life, 50 years, and you're meeting them in another body. Like, of course you're going to be like, what? Like, you can't even explain what sort of ridiculousness. This sounds like crazy, right? So this is another sidebar note. You might not want to share with anybody you're going through a twin flame journey, because they might think you're crazy. I don't think anyone who has not gone through a twin flame journey will understand, believe you, or know what you're talking about, because it is something that defies any sort of logical explanation ever, completely. Okay, so you sound crazy, you might sound like a stalker, you might sound like just somebody who is not in touch with reality if you start explaining what this is about, okay? Especially at the beginning, if you don't even know what this is about. So your brain gets involved and tries to make up stories and logical stories so that it could support, indeed, you're not crazy or a stalker or all these other things that you might be thinking. Okay, so let's go back to the thing. So you hear the terminology within the time frame. I also heard that people will dream of or know when they're coming in contact with their twin flame. So I don't know that that's necessarily a thing for me, but I mean, I just wasn't closed to meeting somebody I would connect with, but I don't think that I like anticipated or prepared or knew that something was coming beforehand. I don't think so. Anyways, yeah, in fact, I'd probably say against it. Like, I was so in my world, like when you least expect it. Like, I wasn't expecting anything. In fact, I did not want anything even coming into my world, because I wanted to be in whatever state that I was trying to manage comfortably in my own bubble. So anyway, you meet this person. Okay, now I can't explain the physical meeting because, like I said, that hasn't happened for me, but on an energetic level, it's like once you connect with that person, and luckily for me, like I said, I could really read and pick up energies and discard a lot of noise that is surrounding the person or whatever, so you get to see or feel their self. Okay, so once you uncover that, you can't uncover that. So that's why twin flames are really impactful and could be quite crazy, because it's like once you turn it on, there's no turning it off. So once you meet them, it's like you can not turn them off. Okay, you cannot turn off your twin flame. I don't care how good you are, you just cannot turn off your twin flame energy from you once you tap into it. So yeah, it's almost like if you were to go outside and you are not under the influence of anything and you see a dinosaur or a something like that, you know, a Sasquatch, like right there, it doesn't matter what other people tell you. You know what your eyes saw. I saw the dinosaur. I saw the Sasquatch. I saw this with my own eyes. So there's no unseeing it. There's no undoing it, no matter what. And that's kind of the feeling with the twin flame. It's like you meet your person. There's this energy thing that connects you to self. Although you might not be fully connected to yourself yet, and that's part of the journey, but you feel those feelings. So it's the catalyst trigger on your journey to finding yourself, because now you're made aware of this feeling. Okay, so you might not be totally pulled into your person in a way that you need to consistently communicate or feel their energy around you. The only pull you might have is, this is a strange feeling that I haven't had. So what is this, right? And the pull is trying to understand that. Like if you open the door and you saw a Sasquatch, I'm not comparing your twin flame to a Sasquatch, and if my twin flame's watching, you're not a Sasquatch. But if you open the door and you see a Sasquatch, you're going to be like, what the fuck's a Sasquatch? Where do they live? Da, 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 da. Like you're just kind of understanding Sasquatch facts because you need to understand it, right? Like your mind is blown. Like throughout your whole existence, people are like, don't know that these things exist. And now all of a sudden you see it and feel it with your own experience. So now you're like uncovering truths about it. But I don't think you're like so drawn to the Sasquatch there that you're like, you know, needing to have that Sasquatch in your life at this point, okay? You're just like, what the fuck? So then you, for whatever reason, are drawn to that feeling or that experience, right? So if you, I mean, unless you get really traumatized, which could be the runner, like the Sasquatch could all of a sudden get like traumatized that somebody saw it, so it just doesn't come out anymore, which I might be onto something here, but let's not go into that. Let's just say you then, after, you know, meeting your person, I don't know, however long it takes you, then eventually you'll be like, you'll want to walk that same path, right? Because you're like, what if I see that Sasquatch again? Like, then after a while, you don't completely second guess yourself, but you completely second guess yourself, because the longer time goes on, you're like, did I actually see that Sasquatch? And like, I'm not sure. So if I go down the same path and I see that again, then I'll know for sure. Like, then you're looking for some concrete evidence here, right? So sorry, that's the only analogy that I'm providing. There's many other analogies I could probably give, but it's because it's something out of this world feeling, right? And you can't quite explain, you know, coming in contact with your other part. And you might not know how to even explain it, right? Like you might not even know what that feeling is, but you just know that it's something different and intense, right? Like it's intense and it's different. So yeah, so however because I heard bubble phase, and this is where you and your twin flame obviously can really get along and establish whatever foundation for the relationship. So I don't believe my twin flame and I went through any sort of bubble phase. I think we've been consistently fucked since the beginning, but consistently I can't say the same because it hasn't been the same, but it's been consistently unpredictably predictable, maybe. Consistently in and out. Consistently back and forth, okay? So no real bubble phase at all. Although I would say that when I met my twin flame, so when you meet your twin flame, what I'm 100% certain will happen within your journey is you start to experience your ascension or your spiritual awakening, okay? And it is a spiritual awakening because you start to get closer to self, your knowing, and you start to uncover spirituality differently than you might have up until that point. So any sort of gifts or abilities that you have are really magnified, and I don't know why this is, and maybe it's because you kind of peered into your own soul and remember who you are. So all these things kind of flood you, because whatever's been locked away in the subconscious of some other body, somehow it regurgitates out from within you. So I know I've always had a spiritual side, like I've mentioned, and have been, clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient. Like, I just know that I've had these abilities, but I never really utilized them to a degree of anything other than just knowing they're there. Occasionally, like, obviously I read tarot cards for a very long time, so I knew I would have this gift, so to speak, and I could see, like, sometimes through dreams too, I would experience things that were energies going on around me within certain individuals, so I knew that I was tapping into unworldly things. But I never opened the door to pursuing more than that, just kind of leaving it be. But after meeting my twin flame, it's like, if you watch my spiritual awakening video, you'll see like my whole kind of overall life story, if you will. So before meeting my twin flame, I was already kind of in a state of my life being a little bit unclear, things already upside down. So I was already kind of in the process of an awakening of sorts. But after meeting my twin flame, I think the trigger of everything kind of coming together like the perfect storm threw me over the edge, and it was a long process. It's not like overnight, but almost overnight you're then on the journey, okay? And that journey is a long journey, a painful journey, and you'll probably wish a lot of times that you weren't on this journey. But I assure you that no matter how much you don't want to be on the journey at the lowest point, you get to a point where you understand why you were on that journey. And I don't know that knowing why takes away pain, but at least it gives it some sort of justification as to why. Because for a long time experiencing, and I'll go back to the journey because there's so much more, but at certain points in the journey you don't even care. Like I didn't even want to explore my spirituality, because I'm thinking if I would have wanted this, then I would have done it like years ago. Why do I want to flip my world upside down? Like, why would I want to let go of my ego or my ambitions and my goals, driven from ego, driven from how I've been programmed, when at that point I felt more complacent than dissatisfied, because I wasn't dissatisfied more than I was complacent, or at least I didn't realize. Okay, so after you meet your twin flame, you recognize not only are you complacent, but you have no other choice but to shed everything, and it doesn't matter if you were attached to it and you thought it brought you joy or whatever. If it doesn't serve your greatest purpose, you detach yourself from it, and it's like a death, and it's a death of all those things that you're detaching from. So if you have if you're attached to a lot of different aspects of your life, you might experience death 5, 6, 7 times. For me, the biggest one is my career, my what I've built for myself throughout the 42 years was my identity, was my life, what I built for myself. That was the top thing that I had to detach from. And also my marriage that I was in for 23 years. For the half of the marriage, I got married at 18. It was me being complacent in putting my ambitions and my career and what I wanted in front of my emotional satisfaction and intimacy and need for a bonding of sorts with another individual. Because for me, it wasn't a priority. I didn't really have that as kind of on my list of needs. But I feel like part of me was more focused on that career thing, because the more I was detached from, my husband at that time, or my emotions, then it just was natural thing to focus on my career and to do that. So I think I was really imbalanced with that whole side. But for, like I say, half of my marriage, I'm just kind of doing the actions and in this state, right? And pushing myself to be okay with how things are. And like I said, I wasn't like completely not satisfied in a way that made me miserable, but I was just complacent and completely missing a side of what is rightfully mine in life, and not even recognizing any of that. And even meeting my twin flame, I didn't automatically just recognize this either. So what happens is you meet your twin flame, then you start to detach from things that no longer serve you. Now, it sounds really weird, because it's not like all of a sudden you're like, this is serving me and that's not serving me. You just start to not be connected to those things because it doesn't do it for you anymore. You're just not feeling it anymore. You're just not needing to rejig or be aligned to things in the same way you were beforehand. So those things naturally start to fall away, and your feeling starts to slowly pull away, and then you experience the death of it, which I feel is pretty traumatic for a lot of people, especially if you're really tied to it with your ego and how much you've invested, and made it your identity. And it is like losing somebody. I think going through the deaths of all the things that you were attached to is like grieving the loss of someone really important to you, and I've lost both my parents, and I can say that this experience for me is not anything less, if not more, traumatizing to me than losing my parents. Okay, and that might sound really bizarre, because so I lose my career and my marriage, and my husband's still alive, but I had to go through the death and just completely kill everything off in my flush everything out. Okay, so that's a very difficult dark night of the soul experience that you will experience with your twin flame, and that is the lowest of the lows. Now, throughout this dark night of the soul, because it is about you and your attachments, throughout this whole thing, you're either still in contact with your twin flame, and if you're not, then your twin flame is energetically there consistently since you've met them. That's one thing. Like, that never leaves. Like, energetically, your twin flame, once you meet them, like I said, you can't turn it off. Like, that energetic cord is real, and that energetic cord you feel 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Like, you're just constantly feeling that attachment. So at first it is, it could give you mixed things. Like, it could just feel like this new energy within you. So you're not, you're not familiar with this new type of thing you're carrying around, but you're familiar with that energy because it's like yourself. So it's welcoming because it doesn't feel foreign. It feels like it's more of yourself, but it's like an extension of you, which is really interesting how it just becomes an extension of you, like, immediately, and it just stays there. So you're extending this piece of you here that you're carrying around, and that's your twin flame. And throughout this process, you're still in disbelief of, like I said, like encountering this sort of an experience, seeing the Sasquatch, when you walk out the door or whatever. So you could be throughout your dark night of the soul trying to do a lot of research. And like I said, if you're in contact with your twin flame person, then you're having communications with your person and you're uncovering more and more about yourself as you get to the bottom of who your twin flame person is. It uncovers more and more about yourself. So you dig into the rabbit hole even more deep, because although you can't turn it off initially and it's there, it's like once you pull the thread, you just keep pulling and pulling, and you can't put the genie back in the box, right? Or the bottle or whatever. And your twin flame could be the runner, could be the chaser. If you're watching this, chances are your twin flame's probably the runner. But my twin flame, he's kind of like, I would say definitely runner, but he's kind of in and out and just really, I think he's indecisive. He doesn't know what he wants for himself. So of course he's not going to know what he wants for me, or if he's even wanting me, because he's in his own little world doing whatever. I don't say little, whatever. He's in his own world, his own bubble, doing his own thing. So for me, it's like I've felt pain, because it's like I want to be in my own little bubble. I was not even intending on meeting you. I was not even intending on feeling any of this. And so then I think, well, all of this stuff that I triggered within me that I know needed to happen, my detachment and all this stuff, and my beginning of my journey, which is so painful, and all these deaths, and it's like I needed or wanted to have my twin flame kind of be there, or at least supportive of that experience, more so than I feel he was able to, right? Which isn't his fault. But at the time, it's like it's easy to blame somebody, because it's like I meet you and now my life is upside down, and you are just like, see you later, peace out, right? Like, excuse me. So you could harbor anger towards this, or you could just be like, okay, this person is clearly doing their thing. And then you think, well, if they're doing their thing, like, how come I can't, like I just explained, I can't turn off my twin flame? So they could just turn me off and do their thing. And it's like, I wish I could have done that, but I had to experience all the death of all these things in my life that I was attached to. And it was painful. And during the dark night of the soul, you could definitely even feel suicidal. Like that is, I've never in my life been suicidal. Like I'm a positive, happy, joyful person, and you just, if you are feeling suicidal, there's help for you. But you hit a point, you're just like, there is nothing, like there's nothing, because you detach from everything, right? And it's not that you're like, there's nothing because I don't have anything. It's just like I don't have any care for anything. I don't feel attached to anything. I don't feel anything's worthwhile. And it's not that I'm not worthy of these things, is that it's not worthwhile. Like none of this stuff matters to me. None of it matters to me. And yes, I mean, I have family and kids, and it's not like all of a sudden you stop caring about your family, but you're just like, you see your life as in, where have I placed myself? Like, and no matter how much you want to be there for your kids and your family, you're just in this like fight or flight mode where you have to take care of yourself, especially when you're in that suicidal space, right? And it wasn't like I was suicidal for like this long period of time. It was like flashes of, which I shared with my twin flame, whether he remembers it or not, I do not know. But it was like, I didn't know if it was stemming from his energy, because we'll get into that after, or I was just in a really low spot where I'm like envisioning, like really ending it, because being in the state of mind that I was in was like not good. Because if you're like in a really sad state, you almost know you'll come out of it. But when you're in a state of like nothing, for long, then you want to off yourself, because nothing feels worse almost than being sad, right? And that's why I say, like, comparing it to my parents' death, it's like I go through grieving and you're really, really sad, and then you kind of know it'll get better, even though it's really hard, you know. But the sadness in the dark night of the soul is you do go through depression and sadness, but then there's times where it must be depression, because there you have no desire for anything, and you're not even so super sad. You're just like, you know. And if you are a really happy-go-lucky person and you're used to high beat energy and you go through that, you just don't know what to do with yourself. So it's like you just feel like offing yourself, right? But I mean, you're not to the point where you're about to do it, and if you are, then just know there's help for you. But that's how low you are. And then finding out, because if you're trying to connect or bond with your twin flame is most likely doing their own thing, right? So, and if they are the runner, you know, they don't give a fuck about what's going on with you. And if they do, that's not a priority to them. So I know that's hurtful to hear, but that's just the truth of the matter. Or at least that's how it's happened for me, and that's how I felt. So it's like, okay, but despite whatever my twin flame is feeling or thinking of me, or even supportive of me, I just always felt like I hold a place in my heart for my twin flame, because it's how I felt. And I wasn't going to be like, well, you resent me and you're not here for me, so I'm going to treat you in the exact same way. I was just like, okay, well, clearly you have your priorities elsewhere for a reason, and I'm not one that's going to go convince you or chase you, because I'm not even like that in general. And it just does not even feel right? So, and then it's hurtful because you feel really, really, really alone, and you're a little bit at first resentful, because it's like, if I've never met you, then maybe I'd still be complacent, or maybe I'd still be in a state that I'd rather be in a complacent state, because at least you have something, and something kind of to look forward to, anticipation or whatever. But after you let it all go and you're in that like no man's zone, it's like, I don't even have anything really to look forward to. Like, and you might want to look forward to starting something with your twin flame, but the chances are your twin flame is just in a different state. So they're not wanting to explore with you. They're not wanting to be there for you. They're not wanting to, and when I say be there for you, I never felt like my twin flame would turn me away if I had to share something, but I just never felt really supported, like he would intentionally be supportive of me in the same way that I would support him, or go out of my way if I felt that he needed something from me. So it kind of is hurtful. And then I think that triggers something within you to say, why am I in a state where I'm unconditionally feeling this for another person, regardless, twin flame, God? If God's not giving to me, then I'm not giving to God, kind of thing, right? I mean, God is kind of extreme, but you know what I'm saying. Like, if this person, no matter how I feel, if they're an extension of myself, but they're just able to continue like nothing, then I have to continue like nothing, no matter what it takes. And I have to heal myself, and I have to be strong, and I have to find myself, and I can't put all my weight and expectations on somebody who just keeps disappointing me time and time and time again, you know. And not that my twin flame was a disappointment, but I just felt like in times that I really, really could have used somebody, and probably the only person that I could have bonded with, or that meant something, was just not interested in my experience at that time. So that does build a little bit of a pain you can't let go of, and I think that is also still in my heart. Not that I'm angry towards him about it, but I'll remember that, because that part of my life is so significant to me. And yeah, and he just was not there. You can't undo that, right? So anyway, my twin flame was not married, and here I am, I'm married. So I start to make all sorts of like stories, right? Stories in my mind about why he is the way he is at. Because I need to justify something. It's like, if he felt the way I felt, then we'd be contributing in the exact same way. So it's like, if he's not, then obviously there's a reason why not. And the thing is, throughout this whole time, your twin flame is giving you sort of mixed messages, because energetically one thing is coming out, and I guess they can't help what they're putting out energetically, but they might be saying something else. Or if they feel you energetically just trying to move on, it's like they energetically come into your being. So it's like, okay, clearly if you keep coming back, or you're energetically intertwined with me, you want something, or there's something here, so I'm not going crazy, and what is it? And the more you confront them, it's like they still don't know, or they're still energetically there, but physically or mentally they're saying something else. So there's a lot of noise and a lot of clouded stuff, and I'm a really simple girl, and I keep things very black and white. So it's like, if you tell me whatever you tell me, it's like, okay, I'm going to have to take you at face value. But if it's so disconnected from energy, it's like, I'm going to call that shit out, right? So I've had conversations with my twin flame where I'm like, you're energetically, like, I could feel you. And I feel like energetically, like, there's this tie here for you, and I want to be here for you. And it's like, why can't we make this work? And I never get an answer. I never get a reason why not. So you stop asking, and you just recognize that either your twin flame is going through something, they're confused, they don't know. But if they don't know, they're uncertain at the end of the day, and their uncertainty cannot hold you back and cannot stop you. But throughout being energetically connected to my twin flame, things that my twin flame would be experiencing, I could experience at the same time. And it's hard to explain, but I felt like parts of my sadness or my depression, I know I was going through dark night of the soul, but I don't feel like it was my energy. I feel like it was coming from my twin flame. And a lot of times where I am overwhelmed with a feeling, an emotion, where I'm like, at first I think it's me, but later I'd realize it wasn't me, and my twin flame would message me, or I would just hear from my twin flame or see my twin flame, like, posting on social media at the exact same time that I pick up my phone or something like that. That was just like really synchronistic. And throughout this period of time as well, I'm seeing all sorts of synchronicities. Numbers, not so much names. Like, I didn't really see my twin flame name, but people say you see their name everywhere, here and there. But I mean, it's a common name, common-ish. But numbers. Okay, so I've always seen 1111 throughout most of my life, just off and on, not like a lot. But before I met my twin flame, I would see it pretty predominantly. And then when I met my twin flame, I was seeing 1111 consistently. Then I started seeing 1111 twice a day, like all the time, like clockwork. Then I started seeing 111 both in the evening and in the morning. And so I'd be seeing 1111 and 111 or 111. And then I start seeing 222, and then I'd start seeing 333. But I'm seeing this constantly, okay? And then 444. And these numbers are like, you see it in the time specifically, or if you're opening up files, or if you're like looking at your phone battery and it's like next to the time, you're seeing like 344, and then your battery's at like 44%, so you're seeing 4444. And I was seeing numbers to 1 month. I was always seeing 5-2s, like 5-2s consistently everywhere. That was like the peak of my dark night of the soul. And I would be driving, and I'd see like house address, 222, and then the license plate in front of me, another 222, and I'm just like, okay, this is a lot. So I had to literally pull over, and I'm like thinking I gotta go to a loony bin, because I'm seeing things here, and I'm not even looking for them at this point. And it wasn't like I was even resisting them. It was just like, at first I was like, oh, that's cool, because you just find it really cool. But then after a certain point, it's like it doesn't stop, and it gets louder and louder and louder and louder. So I'm pulled on the side of the road, and I'm just like, God, like, I don't want to see any numbers. Am I going crazy? What are you trying to tell me? Like, I don't even know what the message is here, Clearly, I tried with my twin flame. This doesn't want anything to do with me. Clearly, you want me to shed and kill off all of these attachments, which I'm trying to do, and successfully miserable now, or at least in a state of I have nothing. what more do you want? Like, what more do you want from me, right? So I'm like, stop with the numbers, stop. And so the numbers stopped for a bit. And then I kind of missed it. I was like, oh, I'm not seeing the numbers. Why aren't I seeing the numbers? And I was seeing every single number except for 777. I was seeing like 8s, I was seeing 9s, I was seeing 4s, 3s. The consistent one was lots of 3, like 333, 444, 222, 1111, 111. And then after all that, and I prayed that it would go away, I started seeing numbers again, but the numbers now are mirrored numbers. Okay, like I'll see 1001, I'll see like just flip-flop numbers a lot, okay? Or I'll see like 4334, and it could be a whole string of them, like 84, 84, 84, 84, and then I will see like 48, 48, 48, like shortly after. I'm just like, this is really weird. Like, why am I seeing these mirrored numbers? Also seeing like 1212, 1010. Yeah, well, I can go on and on about the numbers, and then you start adding them, and I'm stuck at math, trust me. But then it's like I'd see like my phone battery or like my time, and I'm just not even trying to figure it out. It's like if I add my phone battery percentage with like the time, I get the exact same number, and it's just like, this is very weird, and it happens like 90% of the time, and you just don't even understand what is going on. So this is all happening kind of in tandem, okay? So yeah, the synchronicities and numbers, angel numbers. So of course you're Googling like, what does 1010 mean? What does 1212 mean? Like, so you're getting like mixed things. It's like, oh, you're coming into union. You're on the right path. You and your twin flame are in separation. You need to learn to let go. You need to, and I'm just like, okay, so all of these messages going on, and I'm thinking, what is it exactly that the angels are trying to tell me? Because at this point, I feel like I've been trying to do everything that feels right to me. Because what feels right to me is for me to be completely open and transparent and tell my twin flame, this is how I'm feeling. And if my twin flame is not on the same page, I can't do anything about that. And it's time to move on. So that's what I try to do. So it's like when I try to do this, it's like then my twin flame, I feel like, is energetically more connected to me. And it's like, well, how is this possible, right? And then you think, okay, well, clearly if you're resisting something or removing your energy, it magnetizes and pulls it back in. But it's like, it's still not helping because my twin flame still doesn't know what he wants. So you just can't depend on energy alone to be the dictator of what you decide or what you want to do. So you going through your dark night of the soul will be also in a state of constantly thinking about your twin flame non-stop. So not only is the energy there 24/7, you're constantly thinking about your twin flame. So for 2 years straight since I met my twin flame, there's not like, there's not like I was going to say like an hour, probably not even, that goes by, that he doesn't pop into my mind, or that I'm not thinking about where he's at or what he's doing or whatever. And it's really annoying because after, 4 months, 6 months, a year, then you're just like, my brain is fucked, because you're now changing the neurons in your brain to be constantly in a state of thinking about your twin flame. But I could not help it. I'm thinking about him because it's coming into my mind, right? But I've been learning to detach from my mind, and I've been learning to more tap into my heart space. So I feel like, although he comes into my mind, I try to really detach and like just connect to my heart space. And there I feel my twin flame in my heart space, which is a nice feeling because it feels like I'm more connected to myself. But I don't want to invite any sort of pain in my life, confusion in my life, uncertainty in my life. So as far as I'm concerned, if somebody's uncertain or unclear or not sure of me, then why would I continuously keep putting myself out there? It just doesn't make sense. But I've also learned that it could very well be just because my twin flame is not certain about himself, right? Although I feel like he might be in a state of ego where he might feel as though, well, I don't really know how he feels, but I just pick up, like, I feel he's thinking is doing what he's supposed to be doing, and I just feel like he's not. I feel like he is prolonging his whatever it is that he's supposed to be doing. That's how I feel. And he could be in that state, complacency or whatever you want to call it, forever if that's what he chooses to do. I cannot change that, but I do know that he is also connected to me. I mean, he tells me that energetically he feels the way I feel, because he says that I'm constantly also on his mind. So it's like, okay, well, I mean, it kind of makes me feel a little bit better, but it's like not really, because here are two people who are, if he feels any way the way I feel energetically, that's a shitty feeling. I don't want him to feel this way, and especially if we cannot do anything about this. And I don't know why we can't do anything about this aside from his limitations, because I don't feel like I'm limiting myself in any way. So whatever his limitations are, they're real to him, and I have to support what they are. But it is very sad, when you hear from somebody that they just are choosing, because I still feel choosing to not make the decision towards what's best for them or their ascension. I'm not saying I'm what's best for him, but I just feel like his state, like he's been in his state for some time, and I just feel like what's best for him would be just changing things, period, just moving any which way. But I don't feel there's movement. I feel there's a block. And I've told him I feel blockage and I have to go. Like, I gotta move forward, and not necessarily move forward as in I'm needing him to soar up and down to me, that he would be committing to me in a way that that we're going to have to be together forever in some sort of way. But I do feel like I'm committing myself to be together forever with him in my soul, because I cannot part. Like, even if I didn't want to, that's where my heart is, So I don't know that I would ever be able to connect with somebody else in the same way, especially if I carry my twin flame in my heart. Like, it is the same as it was when I met him. Like, it didn't intensify. Maybe feelings of like passion and desire and just getting to know someone, that grew for sure, but the baseline started, and it's been consistent, and it doesn't go away, and you can't turn it off. And there goes my email. Yeah, you cannot turn it off. So yeah, you just kind of make do, almost like a refrigerator buzzing in the background. And that's kind of how I feel. It's like part of me feels like I'm broken and I'm carrying it around, but then the other part of me feels like he's consistently there energetically, so it gives me a little bit of peace. I also wanted to say, because I connect with this, even though I haven't physically been with my twin flame, but when you hug your twin flame, and I haven't hugged my twin flame, but I've hugged my twin flame, if you know what I'm saying. So when you hug your twin flame, you feel complete and utter safety, and you feel like you've returned home. And I can't even stress to you what this home feeling is. It's like the safest place, the most secure place, the most safe place. I don't even know how to explain it aside from feeling so safe and like you've returned home. And for so many nights where I feel I'm detached, it's like you don't feel anything. So it feels like, once you know what that feels like, it feels like you've been robbed of your home, like you're left out, because once you feel that, you know what that feeling is, and you want to feel that safety, and you want to feel that with your twin flame. So when you do, you're like really drawn to it, and I know he feels that way as well. So to choose not to, I don't know how somebody can make that decision, because it just feels so right. But again, you can't convince your twin flame why they need to feel safe and like home if they prioritize something else is more important, or just they need to experience something else, not necessarily more important. But however their story is going and their life is unfolding, however they're choosing, is for whatever reason. So that safe feeling though is, it is now in my heart, and that's what I want to say. Like, so the feeling of Satori, which I mentioned before, is almost a feeling of knowing. It's a feeling of detaching from your mind and feeling at peace. It's kind of like a feeling of nirvana, and that's the same feeling that I have when I'm energetically one with my twin flame, when we let go of what is ever happening around us to just accept each other's presence. And that's where it's still like I feel Satori when I'm with him like that, and I feel Satori in my heart when he isn't around, and when we are in separation or in no contact, or for whatever reason he's energetically pulled away. It's like I can connect to that now in my heart. So that's good, because like I said, when before I was really dependent on just feeling that hug and that embrace, and so if he's not around and energetically, it's like it hits you, it's sad, and you don't have it. But it's like now I have it, whether he's there or not, I have it inside myself, so I could find it and tap into it. And it is the exact same, it is the exact same, because there I find that feeling and it just makes me smile. So it's very bizarre to find that within you, and then you get on the journey of, do you even need your twin flame? Because then you look at what they have or have done so up until now, and you just see pain. Like, you see stuff that you don't want to welcome into your life. Like I said, I'm a simple girl. I don't want to cause any sort of uplifting stuff in his life like it caused in mine. Like, I don't want him to have to go through deaths of things, right? I mean, if he has to and it's for his greatest good, then great, but I don't want to be the cause of that, and I don't want to have somebody else experience that, because this is so much pain. So I don't know, I'm kind of removed. And again, the no contact, like I said, we are consistent, but consistently inconsistent, I guess, if you will, because at first it was just like I would be upset, it's like I'm going through these ups and downs, mostly downs, and I don't know, I just felt like he's trying to tell me like he's here for me, but he wasn't, like energetically, he was always there, so I guess he was, but I don't know, there's just whatever it was that I needed at that moment, I felt like he let me down, and maybe that was what I needed in order to get myself up and figure out that I'm able to get myself up, and I don't need anybody, twin flame, no twin flame, whatever, to pick myself up. And once you pick yourself up, and once you do that and you disconnect and you attach to your own heart from a knowing, and you can shut off the predominant thoughts that are doing loops in your head. Again, you still think of your twin flame obsessively, which is not healthy, so you think you're going crazy or something's wrong with you, but I've stopped fighting that. I just know that my twin flame is coming to my mind, and then I try to attach myself to my heart space and just try to let it peace out, because I don't want to get stuck in loops. I do not want to get stuck in complacency. I do not want to get pulled into energetic uncertainties with him. If he's uncertain, then that's his story, and I'm not going to attach myself to somebody who isn't sure of me, who doesn't want me in the same way that I would be wanting to put myself out there. So I am selective, definitely, of where I'm going to energetically invest. I'm definitely not open to turning my life upside down. I mean, it's already been upside down, but upside down as in, I don't know, like, it's already been upside down. So I don't know what I meant by that. So just, I feel like I'm no longer wanting to put in energy or effort in anything that I don't feel like doing. And so I'm trying to figure out what that is. And, am I content? I'm way happier than I've been in a really long time. Although if you look at on the surface, like, I don't have my job, and I sold my beautiful house, and I don't have my marriage, and my kids think I'm a little cuckoo, so physically it's hard, but spiritually, like, I feel like I gave up stuff that was hard to detach from, but in order for the greater good, which is finding myself, connecting to myself, and really uncovering what was there all along is worth everything, It's difficult, it definitely is, but once you find it, nobody can take that away from you. Twin flame, no twin flame, doesn't matter. And that's where you find your strength. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to the next part of my journey. The next part of my journey, and I don't know where my twin flame falls in that. I do know that the desire to always be in his life is there consistently, because I can't turn it off. So, and if I could, I think I would. I really think I would, because it causes pain that I don't want to experience, but I can't. So I don't want to lie about it, and I don't want to resist and fight it. So, I mean, I've been honest with him about it. So, yeah, I want him in my life because I feel like he's a part of me, Denying him a part of me would be like denying myself a part of me. And that kind of, your ego gets in the way, because it's like, I feel like, well, if I can't be with you, or I needed you and you weren't there for me, like, why should I be here for you? But it isn't even a tit for tat, because I know within a second, if he needed me, that I'd be there for him, and I wouldn't even question it twice. Like, that's just the feeling I have here for him, right? But I mean, he's not reaching out that he needs me, so he's figuring things out on his own, and I'm okay with that, because I'm like, yeah, just stay away. Don't cause me any sort of pull towards you, because if he pulls me towards him, then I'm fucked again. So it's like, good, keep your own thing to you. Don't fuck me around. Don't pull me into anything that is uncertain. I'm going to focus on me. I'm going to do my own thing. And, hopefully if you're continuously in a state of influx, you keep that over to there. And I will be continuously attached in some 5D way to what I know is his energy within my heart space, and carry that with me. But yeah, that's kind of the story. And I mean, I'm still ascending for sure, but I'm not at my lowest place, and I feel like now I'm ready to turn the new chapter. Like, if I were to meet somebody now, which, you go through the phase that just nobody's ever going to do it for you. But now it's like, you know what, if I meet somebody now who is better for me, who actually wants to be interested in who I am as a person, or who's physically in this 3D world, coming from a place where I'm coming from, and willing to be vulnerable, and then I would consider it, although I'd be very hesitant and I feel very hurt by all my experience, but I wouldn't shut it down. I don't think I'd have any desire for it though, but I'm not saying never to say never, but maybe that's what I need to move on from my twin flame, if there's a way. So yeah, if you guys know if there's an off button, or if you ever move forward from your twin flame, I'd be curious to know. And yeah, that's pretty much the twin flame journey. Sorry, it sounded kind of like a downer. There's a lot of positive about it, which is you find yourself, and like I said, nobody can take that away from you, and I would trade it all to be in that place of knowing, although it sounds like all of that just for that, and what do you have to show for it? I guess I'm still uncovering that, the better part of this journey, because I'm kind of in the midway point maybe, where I've shed it all, and now I'm like in tune with my inner self, and now I've just learned how to detach mentally from my twin flame, and I've accepted the fact that he's not wanting to, I don't know, do whatever with me. He's kind of in his own thing. So I have to accept and move on, right? Which I feel I have. Although him constantly being in my thought and in my heart, it's like, have I moved on? And you could get stuck in that loop thinking, okay, am I stuck? But I'm not fighting it. I'm not going to resist it, because I don't want to create more of that. And this is why I think it's important that I open the door to new love, or just be receptive and open to it, because I can't be in this state. It's been, like I said, 2 years, and I'm just done. I'm done feeling like love isn't out there for me. And now I'm at the point where everything that I had to shed is shed. And I feel like learning about my gifts. I'm at the point where I'm excited for the future. I'm at the point where, and all of this, happened because of my twin flame / going through my spiritual awakening. So I have a feeling though that he is most likely going through something right now, because I'll get these intense feelings. So I hope that this part of the journey, which I heard is more intense, isn't going to break me, because I don't want him going through any sort of pain. But I do feel like he might be going through now his dark night of the soul, or at least experiencing some sort of detachment. And all of a sudden I'll get like these bursts of feelings, and it's like, oh, and twice now where it's been so intense and I know it's not my energy, and then I'll hear from him. So I know it's stemming from him. So it's difficult, because I want to be there for him, but at the same time, it's like I can't get pulled into it. So now it's happening the same way that I was upset that he wasn't there for me. I'm not there for him. This is how it's mirrored, and I'm not doing it because he wasn't there for me. I'm doing this because I feel like he needs to go through this, whatever he's going through, on his own. I cannot help him. I cannot pull him out of this. In fact, if I go to help him, I'm confusing him and I'm adding energies he doesn't need. So if he reaches out, I'm also selective. I don't want to respond, unless he's coming from a genuine open place. If he's just like still egoed, still surface, still doesn't know what he wants, like I'm not responding to that. I don't deserve any of that nonsense, but so I do know he's going through some sort of something, and it could just be because I'm pulling away, so it's triggering whatever here for him. And I do wish him the best, but all you can do is really pray, send them love. I send him healing to his heart, healing to his experience, and and I try not to get in a really sad place, but sometimes you're just overwhelmed by it and you got to kind of release it. So anyway, try not to make this so sad, but let me know about your experience. And I'm like just over an hour, so there's more I'm sure that I missed, but that's pretty much my twin flame journey in a nutshell. All right, I'll see you soon. Bye.